So I thought a really cool thing would be just to kind of go through some of the elements in depth of one of the tracks that I'm working on. I think this track is probably going to be the last one on the EP because it really feels warm, homey, quite epic, and it has that closeout feeling to it. So I've been attached to the idea of having this at the end. Because of that, some of the actual things that I had to learn and do to really create that feeling were definitely outside of my area of expertise, but you have to try things and you have to really kind of get creative and imaginative to paint the picture that you want, because you can have the song written down, but to bring it to life in production is a whole nother beast. So this was a really fun project for me because I had to push my creativity in areas that I didn't know existed, and I had to really lean on watching other people's kind of videos and try to source inspiration and find ideas of different ways to approach things, and that's exactly what I had to do. All right, so this song has a bunch of layers to it. I'm actually in the process of recording the background vocals again, so it currently doesn't have that, but there were some cool little neat things that I picked up, and one of those things was the idea of having a rubber bridge guitar simulation. Hopefully you can see it. It's just a shock absorber for a tennis racket that actually works perfectly. It's able to mute all the strings when you put it in. I got this from a video on YouTube of a guy that tries to break down songs and how they produce it. Really cool stuff. It looks like that, and it sits exactly on the bridge. It does a really cool thing of dampening and muting the strings. It doesn't ring, it's not as resonant because everything's deadened now, so it adds a really nice pluckiness and a tackiness. And you hear the fingers kind of really ring. If you treat it correctly and you kind of work with the sound, you can get something really creative and that adds a bit more attack and bite. You can see it's quite nasty and rubbery and vibraty, but it helped me exaggerate some of the picking parts of it. I had to just treat that vibrating part and a bit of like the scratchiness, but it had a really nice bite that I liked when the chorus was hitting. So this mandolin, like everything I basically purchased, is a second hand from a guy that actually handed it into a pawn shop. The strings were completely ruined. The bridge is bowed up from about the 9th fret onwards. It causes some weird kind of buzziness when you're playing. I knew that when I was buying it, it wasn't going to be 100%, but I can basically play between the 1st and 9th, 10th fret. And that's more than enough, honestly, for a recording perspective. I'm not trying to play the mandolin. It was perfect. It does the job. It rings really nicely. And so I spent a bit of time learning how to play chords in the mandolin. It actually, the tuning, from what I remember, is the same as a violin, which is what was the first instrument that I played. So it was a bit weird actually playing chords on this because it's not traditionally tuned like a guitar. It took a little bit getting used to. But this is what ended up coming from it. So it's doubled. So I wanted to double this and get this opening up in the high end. And then when I combine this with the rubber bridge and the main guitar, you get really kind of a nice bite and a ring. The recordings weren't perfect, but to be honest, I treated it, and if I mix it in correctly, you're not going to have to worry too much about the yuckiness that comes from having that bowed fret. But it was just magical, and I love the sound of a mandolin, so it made all the difference, and I'm happy I got that, and I definitely will be using it a lot more. This was a worthwhile little investment. If you ever want to search for things to produce with, even like small percussion stuff, Marketplace, everything. Don't buy stuff brand new if you can help it, especially if you're working on a budget. Obviously, if you've got the money, go for it, but you can definitely do a lot with less. The acoustic guitar, I don't really have much experience recording acoustic guitar initially when I started this, so doing the 2 stereo pair didn't really give me the width that I wanted. I was finding that my acoustic guitar was always sounding very mono and dull and so in the middle, so down the middle. It didn't really feel like it was hugging the listener. And so I was trying to figure out ways to really make it stereo, and there's doubling obviously, but I found a video of someone doing a test between different acoustic guitar recording techniques, and the one I came to that was really interesting was having an OTS over the shoulder at around ear height facing down on the guitar, and then having one at that traditional 12th fret where the body meets the neck kind of thing. And that space, as long as there's phase correlation and everything's distanced properly, when you pan that, it really opened up the sound, and it really kind of gave it the width that I was looking for, but without having to double it. And so if I just show you what it sounded like from the front, and if I pan this down the middle, so this is what the mono sound would be, right? And then this is what happens when I added the OTS and pan that out as well. And you just see how it goes from this to like this. And that's exactly what I needed. Pan down the middle. It sounds nice, but it just sounds too tunneled. And that wasn't a sound that I was really inspired by. And I knew there had to be a way to kind of make this work without having to double it, because doubling is cool for most things, but there has to be other ways you can get different kind of results, right? And so that's what I ended up doing. I'm in love with this whole process, and I'm in love with the songwriting and the production phase and the mixing phase. And it's just been a really eye-opening experience. So I hope some of that is valuable information. I hope some of that is inspirational to a degree. I just think at the end of the day, you have to lean on whatever resources you have. You have to really try to make sacrifices to afford yourself opportunities to be able to write and create and give yourself a space to really produce the things that you want to produce, because it is time consuming to make these mistakes and learn and then have to keep going back and forth and be frustrated. But it's a part of the whole process, and you have to be willing to commit to the learning journey that is never ending seemingly, but you will improve and you will get better. And if you keep yourself open-minded to learning and learning from other people and taking on criticism, and that's this whole process. Get your stuff out there, because no one else will do it for you. And if it was easy, then everyone else would do it, right? So keep going.